Installing Exchange Server 2016 Part 2. So in this part we are going to prepare our schema and then install our Exchange Server 2016. So in order to do that, I have already got my Exchange setup files and I have extracted them. So this was the application that I downloaded from Microsoft, and then if you double click on it, it is going to extract your files. And once you extract it, it's gonna extract on the desired location, and then you will have all setup files ready. So once you have it, then you can simply go to CMD, which is command prompt, and then you can simply type setup, prepare schema, I accept Exchange Server license terms. So if you ask me that why you have this already brought in here, so I was facing some issues when doing this by my own, and I was getting this error again and again. So that's why I just brought it in here, so that in case if you were having an issue like that, you can fix it by your own without just having any trouble. So I was just typing setup, prepare schema, I accept exchange license term, and it was just giving me this that you have to accept. But I was like, I am accepting, but again I was getting the same thing. So finally I found out that I was missing S, so terms. So this is just an information that I wanted to share with you in case if any of you is going to have a problem like that. So let me just start again. So make sure that these files are ready, and then you have it in a location where you can access it through your command prompt. So I'll simply go to CMD after extracting those files, cd backslash, and then cd Exchange setup. This is the folder where I have got all the setup files, and then I will simply paste that command in here, which is setup, telling the exchange run the setup and prepare the schema, and I accept your license terms, and then I will simply press enter, and it is going to start to prepare my Active Directory schema. And once we are successful with the schema update, then we will be running our Exchange Server 2016 installation. So one other thing that I have to tell you is that always when installing Exchange Server, make sure that you are logged in as a administrator, domain administrator, and you are like member of enterprise admin as well as schema admin, because if you are not member of schema admin and domain enterprise admin, you will not be able to do, or you will not be able to prepare a schema. So this is one of the requirements that you have. And always before installing your Exchange Server, make sure you have full connectivity with your domain controller and NSLookup is working fine. And once again, always make sure that you have a better naming convention for your Exchange Server, because most people where they do not care about naming convention on the names, they just name it anything that they want, and then later on when their network grows again and again and they have like more servers added, like Exchange servers added, it is then hard for them to track those servers to find out like which server is located in which site or which server room. So this is going to be a problem for them. So make sure that always before installing Exchange Server, you prepare yourself and plan for it. Make sure the naming convention is good, the IP address is good, and then your server is joined to the domain, and then your Exchange for like your Active Directory forest functional level is server 2008 or more than that. And then once you're done with those things, make sure that the prerequisites that you have, like IIS, is installed, and the services within IIS required, and the .NET framework is installed, Active Directory Management Tool is installed, and all those other prerequisites that you have make sure that they are already installed before you do the installation of Exchange Server 2016. Because if I don't know if you remember, but when I was working in old times, like I was dealing with 2003 and 2007, and it was like my first days, and then I was installing like Exchange Server 2007. What I was doing was like I was sometimes missing some updates, missing some applications or prerequisites and anything. So what it was doing was that when it was reaching like the installation of Mailbox Role was done, and then when it was the client access role installation, and it was like almost completed and then failed. So what I was doing at that time, like I was going to Active Directory and then like ADSI edit. If you some of you may already know what is ADSI edit. So where all the Exchange Server, where all the Active Directory configurations are, and you can change attributes in there, you can do a lot. So everything was just created in there, and then it was really hard for me to remove those things and then rerun the client access role, because when I was running it again, it was telling me that it already exists. So I was having very hard time to deal with those kind of things. So if you plan and prepare in a smarter way, and you just continue whatever Microsoft is telling you to do before installing Exchange Server, you're not going to face any problems. So that's how you do that. So I was just explaining that so that the prerequisite or the schema update is going to be completed, and yeah, as you can see that schema update is completed. So after preparing our schema, we need to run another command which is Active Directory update. So before you install Microsoft Exchange Server 2016, you always need to prepare Active Directory forest and its domain, because Exchange Server needs Active Directory preparation so that it can store information about users, mailboxes, and configurations of Exchange Server in the organization. If you aren't familiar with the Active Directory forest and domain, you can just look at Microsoft TechNet website, where you can get a lot of information about forests and domains. So in order to store all those information about users, mailboxes, and configurations, you need to prepare your Active Directory for the first time when you're installing Exchange Server. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to run this command again, but this time we are going to simply say prepare AD and then enter. So this is going to again start the preparation of Active Directory. So this is required command. So always make sure that when you're running it, when you're trying to install your Exchange Server in your organization for the first time, you just run that. So let's wait for it, and copying file installation. Exchange organization name is required for this mode. To specify an organization name, use organization name. So what it is asking in here is it is just asking us that because this is the first installation of your Exchange Server, and whenever you install Exchange Server for the first time, you always need to make sure that you put an organization name for that. So organization name is your organization name. So for us, it is going to be Elmjo Tech. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm simply going to put the space in here, and I'll just type organization name, and then I will Elmjo Tech. So organization name Elmjo Tech. Press enter. This time it should work, because you will need to put organization names when installing your Exchange server for the first time. So looks like it is going to work because it just started to do that. Alright, so let's wait for it. So as you can see that it says organization preparation and prerequisite is done, and it is 100%, and then it is now configuring Microsoft Exchange Server. Organization preparation, it is just going to add names that we used in our organization name, and it is going to put all those information, prepare it for the Exchange Server 2016 installation, and all those information that is required by our Active Directory services and Exchange. Like they're working both together when you just run Exchange and the Exchange installation is done, and they like all Exchange information is stored in your Active Directory domain. And then so the organization preparation is completed. Now it's time to go ahead and run the setup. So in order to run this setup, I will just go to the setup like Exchange folder, like all where I got the setup files, and then you can see that this is the setup file that I have, and then connect to the internet for checking update. If you're working in an organization and you have full connectivity with your internet, it is always good to choose to update. So it is copying the files now, and if we had no issues with the installation, like if we have not missed anything, the installation is going to be smooth. So let's see how it will go. Alright, so this is introduction uh, to Exchange Server 2016. You can read that so you can get an idea. I will accept the terms and then I'll press next. Use recommended setting, don't use recommended settings. Exchange Server will automatically check online. So if you don't want Exchange Server to check online for the solutions and send reports to Microsoft, you can simply select this one. So I'll select recommended. So what do you want to install? I want to install Mailbox Role. So did you notice that when I click on Mailbox Role, the edge transport role is grayed out and it's not selected? Why? Because edge transport role is a role that is responsible to send and receive emails outside your organization, and it is always located on DMZ. And Exchange Server, like the edge transport role, is not joined to the domain. And one other thing that is done with edge transport, it is in your DMZ, in your firewall. You put it in your firewall, so you cannot install Mailbox Role and edge transport role together. And this is since when we had Exchange Server 2007. This is not new. Edge transport role is always a role that is installed separately, and you cannot install it in like together with other roles. So I'll select next. Automatically install Windows Server roles and feature required. So this is a great thing. So if you remember, I installed IIS and then I installed .NET Framework. So sometimes with Exchange Server 2010 and 7, what was happening was that, for example, you missed something in your IIS services role. For example, dynamic content compression, you just miss that, like compression or dynamic contents, like authentication, digest authentication, you missed that, and you run the setup in 2007 Exchange and the Exchange Server 2010, it will just give you an error that you missed this part and this part from your IIS, and then you had to just go back and then install that role and then come back, run the Exchange setup again. So that was like waste of time, but this is really good. So I want to keep it selected so in case if anything is missing. And then where do you want to install your Exchange server? It is always on drive C, but if you have any company policy or you want to install it in drive D, you can do that. Malware protection settings, disable malware scanning. I'll just keep it like enabled because it is one of the security features that we have, and we really need to make sure that we always have best security for antivirus scannings. So I'll keep it selected and I press next, and it is configuring prerequisites. So let's wait for it to finish. It is now doing the prerequisites analysis. So the prerequisite check is completed and then the installation has begun. So it is now copying and exchange files, and it looks like it is on step 2, and it's like 14 steps to um, complete. So we will have to go like for 14 steps in order to complete the setup process. So let's see how it goes and how much time it's gonna take. So I'm going to keep pausing the video so that it's not gonna record unnecessary things. So copying exchange file is the step 2. And step 3 is language files. So it is copying or installing the language files, configuring the language files that is required by Exchange server. And that is step 3. And step 4 is restoring services. Step 5 is languages. Step 6 is management tool. So it is just going to continue like installing different components for Exchange server, making sure the services are up and running, the mailbox role, hub transport role, client access role, all those roles that are required for our Exchange server setup. So let's see how it's gonna go, and I hope it's not gonna give any error, because in Exchange Server 2007 and 2010 was like when I was working, and sometimes it was like all organization check and everything, it was just completed, and then I was so happy, thanks God. And then what was happening was that at the half of the installation where it was saying that mailbox transport role, at the half it was like error. And at that time I was like, really? So I hope it's not gonna do that. So let's see how much time it's gonna take more to complete this steps, and then we will have our Exchange Server 2016 up and running. So the mailbox hub transport service is completed, and this is step 8 for mailbox rule again, and that is for client access service. For me, it is taking a little bit time because maybe I'm running on a virtual machine, VMware workstation, and the hardware specifications that I have is not enough. But when you are running Exchange server, you always have like better storage and better hardware in order to run your Exchange server. So this is just for our test lab, and this is for our knowledge earning purposes. So it is taking time, and we are okay with that, no problem. So let's see like what's going to be the next step after client access service installation. So after client access service, now it is for unified messaging service, and it is step 9. So 5 more steps left. And then the step 10 is for the mailbox service. So mailbox role and mailbox service. So mailbox role is just installing all those services. So client access is left, I think. The hub transport and unified messaging is done. And this is a step 10, so 4 more steps, and then we will be done with the Exchange Server 2016 installation. It is now on step 11, and that's for front end transport service. So 2 more steps, 3 more steps. client access front-end service is step 12, and it is now installing the client access service role with front-end service for the email transportation. Alright, so it is finalizing the setup now, and it is now on step 13, and after this we will be done with the installing Exchange Server 2016. So the setup is completed, and I'm happy for that because the way we did the installation, it was like a clean and successful installation. That's why we didn't get any error or something that we cannot continue this installation because you did this, and that. That's what I was always getting when I was like a starter with Exchange Server 2007 and 2003. So I'm happy that it just completed normally and with no problems, no issues. And it says reboot your computer. So I'm just gonna finish this, and I'm gonna reboot the server, and we are going to just end our video in here, and then what I will do is I'll just walk you through Exchange Server 2016, and it will be a quick review or a quick walkthrough Exchange Server 2016, so you can just get familiar with the interface, and then the real adventure will begin, where we will be just doing the configuration of Exchange Server based on different lab scenarios. So I hope you learned something, and I'll see you on next video. Thank you.